The first step in assessing the condition of a tree is to identify it and start looking at the environment it is growing in, as this information is crucial in gaining a good understanding of the problem. Many pests and diseases are host specific and will only be found on certain tree genera or species, so quite often this can narrow down the list of potential causes early on. For example, you would only expect to find Callara dieback of ash trees belonging to the genus Fraxinus. If your tree is exhibiting dieback but is a rowan, also known as mountain ash in the genus Sorbus, you can quite confidently rule out Callara as a potential culprit. However, if it is a true ash tree, you may consider it as a very probable cause at the start of your survey. In a similar fashion, it is also very important for reporting to get the correct tree identification. A misidentification will not only mean that the report is incorrect, it is likely to make finding the tree again a difficult task. For example, when a health inspector is looking for a beech when they should be looking for a hornbeam. The preferred format would be to give the tree's scientific or Latin name with both genus and species, and also its common name, for example, English oak, which is called Quercus robur. However, if you are only able to give the genus level, such as Quercus, which is an oak, this would be very helpful. In some cases, identification of a host can prove more difficult than first anticipated. For example, although from a distance this tree looks like an English oak, on closer inspection we will see that is in fact a hybrid. The tree has been produced by crossing an English oak with a Mediterranean home oak, Quercus ilex, and actually has a common name of Turner's oak. The X in its scientific name lets us know it's a hybrid. Getting good photos and noting down the exact location of a tree are vital for this reason, so that identification can be checked if required. There is a series of observatory videos to help you accurately record the geographic location of a tree of interest, which can be found in the resources part of the observatory website. If you are unsure, providing the location plus photographs plus the genus of the tree will be just as useful as identifying it down to species. There are many tools for the identification of trees, including books, phone or tablet apps, such as the Woodland Trust Tree ID app, printouts, posters and websites. Many of these resources will use an identification key which asks a series of questions, which answers lead on to further questions until you reach an answer. For example, the Forestry Commission have a tree name trail, which again, information about this is at the end of the video. All the keys will use features of the tree to identify it, usually the leaves, but sometimes also the flowers or fruit. In this case, we can follow the key using the leaves. This key first asks about the shape of the leaf or leaves. By looking at the leaves of this tree, we can see that they are compound or pinnate. This will take us on to the next question. Does the leaf have 2 or 3 pairs of leaflets, or more than 2 or 3 pairs of leaflets? Each answer in the key will lead to another set of questions. In this case, the answer more than 2 or 3 leads on to a question about whether the leaves are in opposite or alternate. Each tree will key out completely differently, and the amount of questions will vary significantly depending on how many look-alike trees and leaves there are. In this case, 3 questions is enough to get our answer: rowan or mountain ash. Winter brings the challenge of having to identify a tree without the presence of its leaves, which makes it considerably more difficult. However, this just means we need to look a little harder. A mixture of other features of the tree can be used, such as twigs, fruits and seeds, and bud arrangement. There is an observatory guide on identifying broadleaf trees in winter. The link to this is at the end of the video. Classifying what kind of environment the tree is growing in could offer up clues as to causes of poor condition. It can also help you demonstrate how much of a risk a pest or disease could pose and what impact an outbreak could have. For example, how quickly could it spread if you have trees of the same genus or species located closely together. For example, your tree of interest could be located in a forest. In this case, it is likely that the tree will be surrounded by many trees of different genera and species. You may wish to think about the following. If you see damage on a variety of different species in the area, you can guess that the cause is an environmental factor. Most damaging pests and diseases are host specific. In contrast, if you can only see damage on a specific species, but the same damage is seen on all members of that species in close proximity, this may indicate an outbreak of a damaging pest. If an outbreak were to occur in an area of mixed woodland, the impact, although it may be severe for a specific host species, would be minimised as other trees would remain. If your tree is a street tree, you may wish to think about the following. Trees in urban settings are often under greater stress than trees found elsewhere. Issues like compaction, pollution or drainage problems, but we'll look at these a little bit later on. So your first thought might be to rule out environmental factors. Quite a lot of time, trees along a given street or planting scheme in an urban area will be the same species, or a mix of a small number of species. A pest or disease outbreak here may result in the loss of nearly all trees within the area, which can have a dramatic impact on biodiversity and social well-being. Many trees in urban areas also bear a cultural or historical significance, which, when lost, is irreversible. The environment it is growing in can also give you clues as to what the potential cause could be. This is discussed in the next video. Looking at similarities and differences between trees in the area can provide useful information which can infer or eliminate potential causes. Firstly, it is useful to find out whether it is a single tree or multiple trees that are affected. How many trees are affected can help us better understand a problem. This is particularly relevant if the tree you are looking at is surrounded by trees of the same species. Next, let's think about what other trees are present, whether they are the same genus or species. The composition of trees in the surrounding area can not only help you to assess the potential threat that a harmful organism could pose, but also offers clues as to the causes of any poor condition. Pests and diseases are often host specific, so if all the trees of one particular species or genus are exhibiting common symptoms, this could indicate the presence of a damaging organism. Now, let's think about the age class of trees affected. The relative age class of trees can offer further clues. If younger, only newly planted trees of the same species are affected, this could indicate a management issue, or perhaps an environmental cause which the older trees are better adapted to withstand. For example, deer like to rub their antlers up against young saplings, which cause considerable damage to the tree and can sometimes kill it. The same damage may not occur on an older, larger tree due to the lack of protective bark. Young saplings are particularly vulnerable to animal or physical damage. Finally, let's look at shading issues. The density of the surrounding trees may also indicate a potential environmental issue that may be causing the poor condition of the tree. Shading not only happens vertically, depriving the understory of light, but also horizontally, meaning that those trees in the interior of a dense patch of trees will get less light than those on the edge. Trees can be produced in a variety of different ways, including natural regeneration, seed or grafting. And knowing this information may provide potential causes of poor condition or specific signs and symptoms. The origins of the plant, no matter how it was produced, can act as a red alert, particularly if sourced from material grown out of this country. These trees will be far more at risk of having an invasive pest or disease present than those grown in the country. Causes of poor condition will vary dependent on the age of the tree. Generally speaking, younger trees are more susceptible to a range of different ailments, particularly if they are newly planted and just establishing and acclimatizing to the area. Management and arboricultural work can have a big impact on the condition of a tree. Changes in soil pH, overwatering, mulching can all cause the tree to display particular symptoms which could be misinterpreted as a pest or disease. In a similar fashion, arboricultural work can indicate that a tree is struggling, both now and in the past. Removal of branches, both by natural causes such as wind damage or by pruning, creates wounds, which makes the tree more vulnerable to pests and diseases. In this module, we have thought about the tree and the environment it is growing in. We began by thinking about the importance of accurately identifying the tree and its location. This is important as some pests and diseases are specific to certain tree species and genera. We then went on to compare and contrast which trees were affected, recording information about the species and genus, its age and size class, which all help us to understand the cause of the problem. Next, we considered how the tree was raised, as this may also give us valuable clues. Did the tree arise as a result of natural regeneration, or was it introduced? And if so, was it from this country or overseas? Gathering all this information helps us to pick apart the problem and assess the risk of symptoms being caused by pests and diseases as opposed to cultural or environmental problems.